Hello creators, and welcome to the final episode of 2023. As always, this year has gone by incredibly fast, but we have so much to celebrate on the show. I started the guest reader series this year, which went down an absolute treat, and I, not too long ago, announced the search for next year's places, which filled up within about a week, I think. And we also hit 2,000 plays on Spotify this year, which is another huge step. As always, I want to remind you to take care of yourself and don't deny yourself anything this Christmas season. Let yourself eat, let yourself rest, and never be afraid to set those personal boundaries that protect your peace and keep your happiness in check. So this month, as everything winds down, I felt like I needed to do something a bit more simple and go back to the basics. So today I will be slowing down and I will be reading you some hand-picked poetry from various different authors. And these are poems about snow. And lastly, from me and from everyone here at the Sleepless Creatives podcast, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and I hope you have a wonderful, dream-filled and creative new year. Snow by Walter de la Mare. No breath of wind, no gleam of sun, still the white snow swirls softly down. Twig and bough and blade and thorn, all in an icy, quiet forlorn. Whispering, nestling, through the air, on sill and stone, roof, everywhere. It heaps its powdery crystal flakes, of every tree a mountain makes, till pale and faint at shut of day, stoops from the west one wintry ray. Then feathered in fire, where ghosts the moon, a robin shrills his lonely tune, and from her dark gnarled yew tree lair, flits she who had been in hiding there. A Patch of Old Snow by Robert Lee Frost. There's a patch of old snow in a corner that I should have guessed was a blow-away paper the rain had brought to rest. It is speckled with grime, as if small print overspread it, the news of a day I've forgotten, if I ever read it. A Winter's Tale by D.H. Lawrence. Yesterday the fields were only grey with scattered snow, and now the longest grass leaves hardly emerge. Yet her deep footsteps mark the snow and go on towards the pines at the hill's white verge. I cannot see her, since the mist's white scarf obscures the dark wood and the dull orange sky. But she's waiting, I know, impatient and cold, half sobs struggling into her frosty sigh. Why does she come so promptly, when she must know that she's only the nearer to the inevitable farewell? The hill is steep, on the snow my steps are slow. Why does she come, when she knows what I have to tell? Snow by Charles Bertram Johnson. All day the clouds grow cold and fall, and soft the white fleece shrouds field, hill, and wall. And now I know why comes the snow. The bare black places lie too near the sky. The First Snowfall by James Russell Lowell. The snow had begun in the gloaming, and busily all the night had been heaping field and highway with a silence deep and white. Every pine and fir and hemlock wore ermine too dear for an earl, and the poorest twig on the elm tree was ridged inch deep with pearl. From sheds new roofed with Carrara came Chanticleer's muffled crow. The stiff rails softened to swan's down and still fluttered down the snow. I stood and watched by the window the noiseless work of the sky and the sullen flurries of snowbirds like brown leaves whirling by. I thought of a mound in sweet Auburn where a little headstone stood, how the flakes were folding it gently, as did robins the babes in the wood. Up spoke our own little Mabel, saying, "Father, who makes it snow?" And I told of the good old Father who cares for us here below. Again I looked at the snowfall and thought of the leaden sky that arched o'er our first great sorrow, when that mound was heaped so high. I remembered the gradual patience that fell from that cloud-like snow, flake by flake, healing and hiding the scar that renewed our woe. And again to the child I whispered, "The snow that husheth all, darling, the merciful Father alone can make it fall." Then with eyes that saw not, I kissed her, and she, kissing back, could not know that my kiss was given to her sister, folded close under deepening snow. The Snowflake by Hannah Flagg Gold. Now, if I fall, will it be my lot to be cast in some lone and lonely spot, to melt and to sink, unseen and forgot, and there will my course be ended? 'Twas this a feathery snowflake said, as down through measureless space it strayed, or as half by dalliance, half afraid, it seemed in mid-air suspended. "Oh no," said the earth, "thou shalt not lie, neglected and lone, on my lap to die, thou pure and delicate child of the sky, for thou wilt be safe in my keeping. But then I must give thee a lovelier form. Thou wilt not be part of the wintry storm, but revive when the sunbeams are yellow and warm, and the flowers from my bosom are peeping. And then thou shalt have thy choice, to be restored in the lily that decks the lea, in the jessamine bloom, the anemone, or aught of thy spotless whiteness, to melt and be cast in a glittering bead, with the pearls that the night scatters over the mead, in the cup where the bee and the firefly feed, regaining thy dazzling brightness. I'll let thee awake from thy transient sleep, when Viola's mild blue eye shall weep, in a tumultuous tear, or a diamond, leap in a drop from the unlocked fountain, or leaving the valley, the meadow and heath, the streamlet, the flowers, and all beneath, go up and be wove in the silvery wreath, encircling the brow of the mountain. Or wouldst thou return to a home in the skies, to shine in the iris I'll let thee arise, and appear in the many and glorious dyes a pencil of sunbeams is blending. But true, fair thing, as my name is Earth, I'll give thee a new and vernal birth, when thou shalt recover thy primal worth, and never regret descending. Then I will drop, said the trusting flake, but bear it in mind, that the choice I make is not in the flowers nor the dew to wake, nor the mist that shall pass with the morning. For things of thyself, they will die with thee, but those that are lent from on high, like me, they rise and all live, from thy dust set free, to the regions above returning. And if true to thy word, and just thou art, like the spirit that dwells in the holiest heart. Unsullied by thee, thou wilt let me depart, and return to my native heaven. For I would be placed in the beautiful bough, from time to time in thy sight to glow. So thou mayst remember the flake of snow, by the promise that God hath given. It Snows by Hannah Flagg Gold. It snows, it snows. From out the sky, the feathered flakes, how fast they fly. Like little birds that don't know why, they're on the chase from place to place, while neither can the other trace. It snows, a merry play, it's o'er us on this heavy day. As dancers in an airy hall that hasn't room to hold them all, while some keep up and others fall, the atoms shift, then thick and swift they drive along the form, the drift, that weaving up so dazzling white is rising like a wall of light. But now the wind comes whistling loud, to snatch and waft it as a cloud, or giant phantom in a shroud. It spreads, it curls, it mounts and whirls, at length a mighty wing unfurls, and then away, but where, no one knows, or ever will. It snows, it snows. Tomorrow will the storm be done, then out will come the golden sun, and we shall see upon the run, before his beams, in sparkling streams, what now a curtain o'er him seems, and thus with life it ever goes. 'Tis shade and shine, it snows, it snows. The Snowstorm by James Thomson. Through the hushed air the whitening shower descends, at first thin wavering, till at last the flakes fall broad and wide and fast, dimming the day. With a continual flow, the cherished fields put on their winter robe of purest white. 'Tis brightness all, save where the new snow melts along the mazy current. Lo the woods bow their hoar head, and ere the languid sun, faint from the west, admits its evening ray, earth's universal face, deep hid and chill, is one wild dazzling waste that buries wide the works of man. Drooping, the labourer ox stands covered o'er the snow, and then demands the fruit of all its toil. The fowls of heaven, tamed by the cruel season, crowd around the winnowing store, and claim the little boon which Providence assigns them. One alone, the redbreast, sacred to the household gods, wisely regardful of the embroiling sky, in joyless fields and thorny thickets leaves his shivering mates, and pays to trusted man his annual visit. Half afraid, he first against the window beats, then brisk, alights on the warm hearth, then hopping o'er the floor, eyes all the smiling family askance, and pecks and starts and wonders where he is, till more familiar grown, the table crumbs attract his slender feet. The footless wilds pour forth their brown inhabitants, the hare, though timorous of heart, and heart beset by death in various forms, dark snares and dogs, and more unpitying men, the garden seeks, urged on by fearless want. The bleating kind, aye the bleak heaven, the next the glistening earth. With looks of dumb despair, then sad, dispersed, dig for the withered herb through heaps of snow. Now, shepherds, to your helpless charge be kind, baffle the raging year, and fill their pens with food at will, lodge them below the storm, and watch them strict, for from the bellowing east, in this dire season, oft the whirlwind's wing sweeps up the burden of whole wintry plains, in one wide waft, and o'er the hapless flocks, hid in the hollow of two neighbouring hills, the billowy tempest whelms, till upward urged, the valley to a shining mountain swells, tipped with a wreath high curling in the sky. The valley to a shining mountain swells, tipped with a wreath high curling in the sky. The Snow by Emily Dickinson. It sifts from laden sieves, it powders all the wood, it fills with alabaster wool the wrinkles of the road. It makes an even face of mountain and of plain, unbroken forehead from the east, and to the east again. It reaches to the fence, it wraps it rail by rail, till it is lost in fleeces, it flings a crystal veil. On stump and stack and stem, the summer's empty room, acres and seams where harvests were, recordless but for them. It ruffles wrists of posts as ankles of a queen, then stills its artisans like ghosts, denying they have been. To a Snowflake by Francis Thompson. What heart could have thought you, past our devisal, O filigree petal, fashioned so purely, fragilely, surely, from what paradisal, imagineless metal, too costly for cost? Who hammered you, wrought you, from Argentine vapour? God was my shaper, passing surmisal. He hammered, he wrought me, from curled silver vapour. To lust of his mind, thou couldst not have thought me. So purely, so palely, tinily, surely, mightily, frailly, unsculpted and unbossed, with his hammer of wind and his graver of frost.